everyone, and welcome to the Chef's Table series. My name is Carol O'Connor, co-host of this educational cooking show. Today we are featuring Executive Chef Eddie Cerrato of the MIT Endicott House located in Dedham. Today he and my co-host Joe Murphy will show us how to make this delicious torta. And then later on you'll see my interview with the GM, Michael Fitzgerald, and also the beer pairing to go with Eddie's dishes. So let's bring Joe and Eddie over to learn how to make the torta.
Hi, I'm Chef Joe Murphy, co-host of the Chef's Table series. The Chef's Table series is produced by the Chef's Table Foundation. Foundation started just over 2.5 years ago, and it's a nonprofit to support homeless veterans and homeless young adults. We're very pleased today to have Chef Eddie Cerrato. He's the executive chef at the MIT Endicott House. And Chef, you've been here for 32 years, right?
Yep, I'm new. I just started.
Right.
30, I'm just starting to get used to the place.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you're starting to like it here.
Yeah.
So this facility demands really great food because of their clients, and for a chef to be here for 32 years is a statement. So, what are we making today?
Today we're going to make a goat cheese torta.
Oh, nice.
It's leveled with fig preserves, a pesto, and goat cheese. First step is we're going to toast off some pine nuts. That's going to be for our pesto.
Okay.
So we're going to add them to a medium heat pan.
Okay. Chef just gave you a great tip.
And you no oil, no spray, anything else. Just the natural oils from the nuts will come out themselves. So you just want to get a light coloring on them.
Right.
A light brown is perfect. If you get them too dark, they're going to have a bitter flavor. So.
Okay, so Chef just gave you 2 or 3 tips. No oil, no butter. Just get them lightly golden, because if you get them overdone, similar to, as we talk about, if you burn garlic, you're going to start getting, obviously different tastes, but they're both going to wind up in the bitter category.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So
you just want to give them a nice light brown toasting on them. This works with all nuts. You can use almonds.
Yeah.
Some people use walnuts in this recipe. Again, like Chef was also saying, you may want to change things up a little bit according to your taste. You don't have to stick to a recipe all the time.
Right.
My training was actually, we had no recipes. My training chef wouldn't allow us to measure anything. Everything had to be by taste. It was just repetition and tasting and tasting.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and we've started mentioning that in the last couple of shows. When you're into baking, the measurements are pretty much exact. You've got to follow it, otherwise you're going to tend to wind up with a disaster. But in cooking, that too tastes. This is your impression of how the dish should come out. And I'm sure Chef, because he's been chefing for a long time, he's got this recipe down to something that really comes out great.
Get a nice toasted flavor on them now.
Right. And one thing I want to mention to you is, you notice, and I'm going to get into the chef's head a little bit here, that pan started smoking a little bit. So that was an indication it's hot, maybe a little too hot. So you notice he picked it up off of the hot burner and gave them a toss. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you think you're getting in trouble, just take that pan off of the burner and let it sit for a minute or so, just to come down to a better cooking temperature. All right, Chef.
So next we're going to go over and chop some our herbs.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We're going to start with some basil.
Okay.
Take the leaves off the stem.
Again, Chef, if we could just talk real quick about mise en place. You had, and the aroma from this basil. Are they growing that here in the greenhouse?
Yes, it is. The basil's fresh.
Wow. As you get your pesto together,
Yep.
we have basil leaves. You took the stems off.
Yep.
You have flat leaf parsley, which
Correct.
is also known as Italian parsley.
Yep.
Okay. And then you have some fresh mint, which also, I mean,
It smells fantastic.
it smells fantastic. And I'll tell you, even the flat leaf perfectly, the three of them, and standing over these toasted pine nuts. The aromas are unbelievable. So I can't wait for you to get this and going and see how it all comes together.
Another little tip you can use with basil we're going to give it a rough chop, and then we're going to add it to our food processor.
Okay.
But a good tip is to lay them all out into a nice neat flat pile.
All right.
And then we're going to roll them up as tight as we can get them.
All right.
Like this.
Yeah.
And it'll give us a little more control of the basil. That way we're going to end up chopping it as opposed to crushing it.
Okay. So if you notice too, as chef is cutting, look at his tip, rather his knife skills. All right. It's not a chop, and he mentioned you're slicing, not chopping, and that's important. You don't want to really bruise it.
Yeah, you don't want to keep pounding on it because
Right.
it's just going to bruise it.
Right.
And you're going to lose a lot of your flavor into the
Right.
board.
Yeah.
So you're going to, the parsley, you're just going to pull off the stems.
Yeah.
I'm going to give that a rough chop.
Yeah. You notice how his fingers are tucked in? And that's his guide, so he doesn't cut his finger with it. And I checked his knife out before he came into the room, and it was like a razor. So a sharp knife is a chef's best friend.
Always. Yeah, you would think it would be the opposite.
Right.
All I remember is my mother's knives when I growing up. They were always dull. She
Right.
always had one favorite knife in the drawer that was very dull.
Right.
I take my knife everywhere.
Yeah. That's,
We go to family outings and cookouts. I bring a knife with me.
yeah. Yeah, because most people are doing the chopping, they're pushing down, cutting,
Yeah.
particularly, when you're cutting roasts or, well, let's use roast because you want that juice in the meat or a lamb.
Yep.
And if you're pushing down on it, you're pushing all those delicious juices out. So it's got to be more of a slicing. Now, are you doing the same technique
Yeah, I'm
here?
just going to bunch them up together as opposed to chopping them all up.
Right.
This way here, if you get them started,
Yeah.
I mean, you could put the leaves whole into a food
Right.
processor, but I find the texture doesn't come out as well. They don't chop up. You end up crushing them once again. You get
Yeah.
too much of the water coming out of the product. So.
Right, and so Chef just gave you a couple of great tips again. The food processor will absolutely puree it ultimately, but you're going to drag a lot of water out of it. If you put the whole leaf in,
Yep.
you're going to be working those herbs a lot longer in the food processor, so you're much better off doing a little bit of prep work.
Right.
Besides, it'll help build your knife skills.
Yep.
So the technique you use there.
So we have the basil, the mint,
Yeah.
and the parsley, all in
Okay.
the food processor, all
Yeah.
rough chopped.
Right.
Then we're going to add the toasted pine nuts
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Those. Put that over there. Now we have some crushed black pepper, freshly ground black pepper,
Okay.
as opposed to
Out of a can.
out of a can. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about a teaspoon.
Yeah.
We have a teaspoon of sugar
Okay.
and some kosher salt to
Right.
taste.
And why kosher salt?
It has a nicer texture, much better flavor than the iodized salt. Salt is very popular these days. A lot of people actually using Himalayan salt.
Right.
There's red salt, there's black salt,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
smoky flavored salts, but
Yeah.
much better texture than the iodized. It's healthier for you too.
Yeah, it is because the crystal is larger. So
Yeah.
by volume, a tablespoon of kosher or sea salt, because it's large crystals, has less sodium than a tablespoon of table salt.
Right.
Okay, so keep that in mind. If you have a sodium problem, then you're definitely better off using. And I agree with Chef, and I'm glad you said it. You're the first chef that didn't comment on me saying, I really believe it's a much better flavor profile.
Yep.
Ultimately. So, okay, now if somebody wanted to do this recipe without the pine nuts,
Yep.
it's not going to hurt
you
it. I
can-
mean, if
you
you have
can
a
omit
nut
it.
allergy, right?
Yep, you can omit it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. All right, Chef.
I'm we're going to add a little bit of olive oil to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use an extra virgin olive oil.
Right. So you want a good quality EVO oil.
Absolutely. The better quality, the better the flavor and everything whenever you use oil. The only time I would recommend not using a really good oil would be to saute something in, because then you're just wasting good oil.
Right.
But it's always good to have a nice bottle in your at home. So now we're going to give this a chop. And for a nice paste. And that's it.
Okay, now I want to talk to you a little bit about texture.
Yep.
The thickness. If you pick the spoon up, would it drizzle out?
No, you want it not for this application. If you're doing a pasta, you're cooking a pasta dish with pesto, you want it a little bit runny. Because you want it to coat the pasta, be enough oil in it.
Right.
For this particular dish, you don't want it too runny, because it's going to, as you'll see when we finish, the layering and the cheese, the oil is all going to run out, and it may shift on you and fall apart. All right, the next phase of this recipe, we're going to put this off to the side for now.
Yeah.
The next part is we're going to do the cheese.
Oh, excellent.
We start off with an unsalted butter.
Right.
And some goat cheese. So we're going to use a paddle attachment in our mixer today. Mm-hmm. And again, the unsalted butter.
Yeah.
It's roughly about a stick and a half. You want it room temperature along with the cheese. So you want to pull it out of the fridge at least an hour before you start the process. It'll help incorporate and blend a lot easier. Yeah. You want to put the butter in first.
Yeah. And again, Chef just gave you 2 great tips. You want it out in time so that if you pick up that butter or touch it, it's going to be no resistance. You could push right through it. Yeah. And again, his second tip was you'll find that it will incorporate and be well distributed throughout the recipe. Now, this is your goat cheese, correct?
Yes.
And this also is room temperature?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Both about an hour beforehand.
Yeah.
Again, you don't want to have little chunks of butter in your in the cheese. When you say there's butter in it too, people are kind of like, there's butter in a cheese log, but the flavor is delicious, and it incorporates. You don't see the butter, but you can taste a little bit of it.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? This is a great special occasion, obviously, preparation.
Yeah.
If you try to watch your calories, your fats, I commend you. But this isn't something you're doing once a week.
No.
So, a little bit of butter, and it's up to you how much of it you eat, okay? It's all about really the flavor, the quality, texture, so... Anyways, that's my little...
All right, so we want to put this on a low.
Right.
Low to medium. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to put incorporate the goat cheese spoonful at a time, so it gets all blended well.
Excellent.
Just tap it in there.
Yeah. I love these stand mixes, by the way, and
they're great.
If you're a home cook and you really enjoy the art, and it is an art, culinary art of cooking, these are just fabulous to work with. Not only that, you get enough horsepower to produce what you need to produce. Yeah, I can see this, and I doubt the camera's picking it up. As he's adding this goat cheese in with the butter, it's absolutely incorporating very well. And just a quick tip for your own well-being, not that you'd be hurt if it flew out. This cheese is like it's almost like a triple creme when it's at room temperature. And so there's going to be a lot of moisture. So if you put that above what Chef recommended, medium to medium-low, well, you do the incorporate. Otherwise, you're going to be wearing it. These paddle mixers are really great. Again, you'll find this in this type of a mixer. And there are brands. There are plenty of brands that, are on the market for the home use. So, and they work great.
Yep.
Okay.
So I want to scrape all of it off the paddle as
right.
much as you can get. Okay, the next part of this process is we're going to line a bread loaf pan.
Oh, nice.
That's what we're going to make the torta in today.
Right. So this is a 1 pound
Yes.
loaf pan.
Exactly.
Now, do you put pan release in here?
Yes.
You do. Okay.
We're going to use pan release just to, so the plastic wrap will stick and also will release after we refrigerate this. This
Okay.
product, it has to be made the day before.
Yeah.
Or at a minimum of 4 or 5 hours in the walk-in.
Okay.
So that it will set.
I
Because
gotcha.
as you can see, it's a little soft, a little warm today, so the cheese is a little bit soft, but
Right.
it's fine. And
So there's no baking involved here.
no baking. So you want to push down the plastic
Right.
and try to get all the air bubbles as well as you can. Push it off to the side because the bubbles will leave a bubble right in your cheese
Yeah.
also. So you want to get it in there. Again, the spray will help it stick. It'll be a lot easier to handle the plastic wrap.
Right.
Otherwise, it'll slip out on you. Get it nice and tight.
Right.
So what I'm doing here is I'm putting in the first layer of cheese. And I'm gonna drop the spoon in one little piece at a time to cover the bottom as best I can,
Yeah.
rather than throw one big blob in there.
Right. Okay, so chef just gave you a tip, 1 spoon at a time, and actually, I don't know if we can see in there, you can see the blobs, okay?
Yep.
Now, I'm guessing also, when do you actually spatula
Yes.
this? Okay.
Yeah, well, a lot of it we're going to be, I'll show you in 1 second, we're going to
Okay.
pound it back on the table just to even it out.
Oh.
So that will flatten it out for you. Then we're going to use a
Excellent.
spatula to
Yeah.
really get it nice and smooth.
So it looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch thick?
Yeah, it's
or
about half an inch.
half an inch, okay.
You basically want to break the cheese into 3 different layers. So just keep that in mind as you're doing
Yeah,
this.
okay.
You want to get it right up to the corners. That's very important too.
Okay.
So you might have to add a little bit more.
Yeah,
Tuck it
so
right in.
chef just said, gave you another great tip. You want to be sure when this is spread, you're right into the corners. Now, what would that do if you didn't?
You're going to have a gap in it. When you take it out of the pan, you can have a little
Gap, and it's
little
going to
gap, and it's going to
slide,
slide.
fall,
They're not going to look
break.
as
Yeah,
nice. Not going
Right.
to look as neat and uniformed.
right.
So I'm going to smooth that out.
Now, this is meatless, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you wanted to add a meat, a sausage, would you stay away from that?
I would stay away from the meat. I would do I've done it before with layers of smoked salmon.
Oh, nice.
You could do that.
Yeah.
Again, if you were going to do that, I would give that a chop.
Yeah,
Not a fine chop, but a small dice,
small dice.
and do a layer of that. You could do
Okay.
it because if you leave it whole in a whole slice,
Yeah.
as your guests break down into it with a cracker or a butter knife or something,
It's gonna be
it's
pulling
all going to
out.
fall apart.
So chef's giving you so many tips here. A small dice. So to me, a small dice is just under 1/4 of an inch,
Yeah,
somewhere
Yep.
around that
exactly.
size. So that's a little like piece, like a square, 1/4 of an inch.
So the first layer we're going to do is the pesto layer.
Yeah.
You can also do the fig layer first too if you like.
Yeah.
That really doesn't matter.
Right.
We're going to do the pesto because it's right here.
Yeah. And again, you notice he's layering it 1 spoon at a time.
Yep, trying to spread it out as best I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and just make sure you get into those corners, as chef has told you, because you don't want this to start falling apart on one end or the other.
Yep, and you also want to have it right up to the sides and the corners because you want to, as we take it out, you want to be able to see the layers.
Right.
So you'll see the layer of cheese, the fig
Yeah.
preserves, and the pesto.
Excellent. Excellent.
Now we're going to go back to the cheese layer again.
Oh, super. I got to tell you, folks,
this out
it
of the way.
smells fantastic.
Yeah, those herbs are
Yeah.
very good.
And if you think you'd like to try this and just give it a heat in the oven, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because the cheese, the butter, and the fig will start running. So this is really cold room temperature, or before you get to room temperature, I would think,
Yes.
because you don't want everything leaking out in shifting on you.
So this, you have to be a little careful at this layer here to get it nice and tight, because if you push down too hard on it, the pesto is going to flip up on you and it's going to ruin the whole layering effect. So you just want to go nice and easy, go slow.
Right.
Right up to the edges again.
So Chef just gave you another great tip. When you're doing layering product, do not push down, because you don't want the bottom layers to come up and blend in.
And now we're going to go to our fig preserves. It's going to be our next layer.
Yeah. I love fig.
Sweet.
And, I actually had a fig balsamic recently instead of your traditional balsamic. Oh, it was it's an imported item from Italy, but it's really good.
Actually, that'd be a nice item to put on top of this presentation when we're done.
Oh, wow.
I do have some aged balsamic,
yeah,
but the fig balsamic would enhance it even more.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay, thanks. The old chef has one or two good ideas. I used to sail, and people say, "Can I go out with you?"
Yeah.
I'd say, "You're smart, trusting the old navigator." Yeah.
Some of the boys don't usually learn to sail, but
right.
We were up in Lake Sebago one time and went sailing, and I didn't know how to turn around.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up on the other end of the lake, which was about 30 miles away.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to tow the boat back by hand.
Oh, God.
Along the shore.
Right, yeah.
And this one, we want to cover all the top off, too. As you can see, I was scraping a lot of it off the spoon on the sides of the pan. Use the pan as a tool.
Yeah.
And that way we get a nice layer to cover up all that fig.
Nice and even.
Yep.
Smells delicious. And you're going to get savory and you're going to get some sweet, because you have that fig, you have a little bit of sugar. Then
Just a pinch, yep.
Yeah, you have the pH that's in that goat cheese. And if you're not a goat cheese lover, and our co-host isn't crazy about goat cheese, but with this type of blend and with those herbs, God, they were just fantastic.
Okay, now the last part of this, you want to fold over the plastic wrap.
Yeah.
I probably should have told you at the beginning to have a little extra overhang on it.
Right, we can talk about it.
And
Now, and that's going to prevent the skin when the air is blown over it in the refrigeration?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
And we're going to get it nice and flat.
Right.
You can push it down at this point, get
Gently.
it nice and firm, yep.
Right. Yeah, you notice chef isn't giving it putting some beef on there. He's just tapping to get it nice and flat. So,
and
there it is.
That's it. So that goes in the refrigerator. Again, preferably overnight is the best, but a minimum of 4 to 6 hours.
Right. Well, I may make this for Christmas or Thanksgiving. I love it. The aromas are fabulous. And every once in a while I'll ask a chef, do you know how to have aroma come through the TV so that everybody can...
Smell-o-vision.
Thank you very much. See, you do
Emerald's
know.
invention.
Oh, Emerald? Who's he?
My dog's name was Emerald.
Oh, okay. So, well, Chef, this has really been a great presentation. Now,
we have one we already prepared.
Excellent.
I'm gonna pull that out, and then we're gonna do a little presentation if I show you how you can present it to your guests.
Excellent.
We'll put this one off to the side.
Yeah. And you know what might be important here, Chef, to just highlight, because you do have some soft textures in here on cutting this, or do you use a spoon? What is the best technique?
I use just a cheese knife, cheese knife or a butter knife.
Yeah.
Just present it like that.
Okay.
And, some guests will stick their cracker in it and ruin it. But
right. Yeah, I hear you.
But you should always have a cheese knife available.
Okay. So this would be an hors d'oeuvre appetizer, or could you serve this as a first course?
It would be tough to do as a first course. If you're going to do that, it would probably freeze the product, maybe for about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then use a very sharp hot knife, and you could cut a thin slice.
Yeah.
And present it on a plate.
Right.
You could do it. It's been done.
Okay.
But it's a little difficult to do.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a whole new set of techniques.
Yeah.
But if you did want to do what Chef said, freeze it for 40, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
get a very sharp knife, cut it, and then, in my opinion, you could do some nice slices of a Roma tomato
Yeah.
or a real nice red tomato next to it, and it would be, a really pleasant experience. So it's up to you. Again, it's up to you. You're the home chef. All right, can we see a finished product, Chef?
Yes, we can. We have a platter over here. We're gonna
Oh,
present
super.
it on.
Excellent.
Let me grab the pan.
Mhm.
Here is a product that I made yesterday.
Okay, now see, even Chef makes it the day before. I'm just going to do a little cleanup here.
There you go. My
Okay.
sous chef.
Yeah.
So you want to unwrap the plastic wrap. Give it a little bit of a jiggle just to loosen it up a little bit.
And I can actually see how this has firmed up as he's getting ready. Yeah, you don't want to, and I'm, again, getting in your head.
Yep.
You don't want to just go quick.
No.
You want to try to get a little bit loosened so that it comes out in one piece, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Now we want to flip this over right
Right.
onto the plate.
Right.
That should come out.
Ooh. I am loving this. Look at that.
I'll take that plastic off of there.
Yeah.
There we
Wow.
go.
This is great, Chef.
Yeah, it's got a nice layering to it.
Yeah. Excellent.
Gonna garnish it up here for
Yeah.
you.
Okay, and what do you have here? Baby arugula or
There's the microgreens.
microgreens?
We also
okay.
grow those down in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a little tomato rose for garnish.
Oh, Chef's going to teach you how to make a tomato rose. I was never good at this.
Just need a sharp knife. You want
Right.
to get a thin layer of skin.
Yeah, and you want to use a paring knife, one that you can control for detail. Unless you're a Ginsu warrior and use an 8-inch chef's knife, right?
Yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to.
Right.
Now you want to roll it up
Yeah.
from the last part of the tomato that you cut all the way back to the first part, which is the bottom here, the base.
Yeah.
Roll it up. Use that as your garnish.
Oh, that looks great, Chef. Hopefully we can capture that. I just want to move this.
Yep.
Whoop, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Move that so that our camera can actually
Okay.
see that. I don't know if it can or not. And this is your aged balsamic?
Yes, this is a 15-year aged.
Wow.
We use that at Endicott House here to make our homemade dressings that we use. We all make our own vinaigrettes here.
Wow.
It's a 15-year aged balsamic.
yeah.
It's nice and syrupy. The older it is, the thicker it is.
Right.
So we give it a
Oh,
nice drizzle.
sweet. Isn't that beautiful?
And again, some nice extra virgin
Mhm.
olive oil. And voila, and there we go.
Wow. This looks fabulous. And the again, smell-o-vision is fantastic. It's really a great presentation. And I'm guessing this would feed 8 to 10 people or more.
It depends on what you're serving for dinner. If it's just going to be hors d'oeuvres, this would serve about 20 to 25 people.
Really? Okay.
If it was going to be before a dinner,
Yeah.
a large dinner, you could serve up to 50.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Well, let me ask you one other question. You know, when you get into aged balsamic, like the chef uses, it can get very expensive.
Yes.
And it's not that you're using a lot, but just keep in mind it can be expensive. With one technique, you're not going to get the unbelievable flavor of a 15-year-old, but I find the off-the-shelf, relatively young
Yep.
balsamics are watery.
Yes.
So you could put that in a little saucepan and do a
Cook it
little
down, yes.
reduction, and that'll give you a little bit more texture. This has been a fabulous show, and I've learned a lot from the chef, and I hope you have as well. On behalf of the Chef's Table Foundation, the Chef's Table series, we'd like to thank the MIT Endicott House and a wonderful executive chef, Eddie Cerrato. And Eddie, thank you so much
Thank
for preparing this for us. This
My
is a
pleasure.
great holiday dish or special occasion. Again, thank you. And just remember, if you go on our website, you can see our mission in supporting homeless veterans and homeless young adults. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the wine segment of the Chef's Table series. My name is Carol, and I am here with Lois Leonard of Classic Wine Imports. So Lois, thank you so much for doing the wine pairing tonight.
Sure.
Appreciate it. What do you do for Classic Wines?
I drink a lot of wine.
Oh, no, that's the best job.
You know, about 25 years ago, I started working at Classic Wine Imports, and it's been an interesting career. A lot of changes in the wine industry over those years. Currently, I'm a sales manager. I manage a team in the Boston area. Mostly, we call on restaurants.
Yes.
And we sell a lot of beautiful wines.
I'm sure you do. Well, I can't wait to taste them.
Good, good, good.
So, as you know, Executive Chef Eddie Cerrato made a number of dishes.
Right.
But we started off first with a reception.
We did, and you know what, I'm going to point out this first wine because I think every party, every reception needs to start off with a big bottle. This is a rosé, a dry rosé from a little town called Tavel in the Rhone Valley. And in Tavel, the only wine that they make is rosé. And rosés here have become very, very popular. Like I said, they're bone dry, they're light. You can make rosé from any red skin grape. The color comes from the skins of the grape. You just leave the juice in contact with the skins for just a few moments, and you get that pretty color and a little bit of the body and tannins. So this is called Montazarg Tavel. And again, Tavel is the name of the town in the Rhone Valley. So that's a Magnum, which is exactly twice the size of the regular 750 milliliter. So
well, it's a great gift to give someone. And,
it is, yeah.
I'm sure it's a conversation piece.
Yeah, everybody enjoys, you know, whether you're pouring bubbly out of a big Magnum or any wine at all, it's really festive.
Yeah, and fun.
And then also with the reception, we, and I'll pour you a little bit of this.
Sure.
We started off with a wine from the Sonoma Coast. This is Klein Pinot Gris. And Pinot Gris is the exact same grape as Pinot Grigio, which you probably know a lot about. And it's a good reception wine because it's light, it's crisp.
Light,
Yep. There's been no oak aging. Oak aging adds a little body and richness to the wine. So this is just a really nice, light way. And it's from the Sonoma Coast, which that extreme Sonoma Coast is really cool. Great influences from the fog, from the ocean. So it's just a great wine growing area. And then the ever popular Malbec. People love Malbec.
I love Malbec. I decided to like it a couple of years ago.
Good, 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 good. So this one, this is called Aroma Malbec, and it comes from a winery called Bodegas Caro, C-A-R-O. And it's named such because the C-A comes from Nicholas Catena, who's a very famous winemaker, and the R-O comes from the very famous Rothschild family. Thus, Caro is the name of the winery. But Malbec is a medium-bodied grape. So it's very versatile. You can drink it without food at all.
I was just gonna say that, like have it with a girlfriend that comes over and just have wine.
But it's still hearty enough that you can enjoy it with chicken or a light meat dish. So that'll be a very popular.
These are good choices.
Yep,
yes.
But then, of course, we have to get into dinner.
Yes.
And the first course that Chef Eddie prepared, I believe, was some scallops with limoncello sauce, a little bit of cheese and cream. And scallops can be very light, but if you pair it with a rich dish, then you need a little richer white wine.
That will cut into it.
Right, right. Like the Klein Pinot Gris would be a little too light for that dish, but Cerrato Chardonnay is something that we chose. This is from the Napa Valley. All estate grown grapes, and there is some new French oak that's been used to age this wine. Not all the aging has been done in new French oak, because new oak can be pretty intense. You know, when you take a barrel that's never been used before, it's really toasty. So you want to be judicious about how much oak you use. You want balance.
Yes.
It's all about balance. You want that beautiful pear and green apple, fruit flavors, not to be overwhelmed by oak.
Right.
So the oak just adds, you know, it's like salt and pepper. You know, you add seasoning to the wine.
Adds a little flavor to it.
Yeah, to
this
the
is
grapes.
delicious.
Good.
Lois, you're doing great.
All right.
3 for 3, love.
Okay,
Number 4.
Now, for the main course, I believe we have short ribs.
The beef,
and there's
yes.
nothing better than smelling short ribs cooking in your kitchen all day long. So we needed a nice hearty red wine. And so we wanted to get away from California and perhaps show something different to folks, because we here, we tend to get to know American wines first because they're local and they're easy to read. You know, the Chardonnay, if it's Chardonnay, it says it right on the label,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So in France, they make things a little more difficult. And this one is from the Bordeaux area. And nowhere on the label do you see the grape varietals, but you see the name of where the grapes are grown. And this is from Medoc, which is an appellation in the Bordeaux.
Okay.
This is Chateau Belgrave. I hope you're going to enjoy that.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm not going to tell you what the grapes are. I want you to guess.
Oh, I don't know if I can guess.
You didn't know you were going to be quizzed today, did you?
Ooh,
It's hearty.
it's very hearty. Definitely
See-
a beef.
Yep. See, it's heavier than the
smell the
Malbec.
beef.
So I won't put you on the spot because we don't have time for that. But this is
might
in
be
Bordeaux. The main grapes grown in the Medoc area are Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. So I think everybody's familiar with Cabernet Sauvignon and
Yes,
Merlot.
yes.
So a lot of times when I taste Bordeaux with people, I just tell them those two grape varietals. It gives them a little bit more to, to latch on to because they're familiar
They're
with those
yes,
grapes.
they relate to it. They're like, okay, I can drink that
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
I'm more
yeah.
comfortable drinking it.
So most all Bordeaux are blends, but it's got the firm tannins and structure, hearty enough to stand up to the short ribs.
Absolutely. Wow, you picked some great. You did
Good,
some
good, good,
research
good,
for
of
this.
course. Well, you know.
For the dinner courses. This is great.
It's a lot of fun. People love learning about wine. They love talking about it.
They do.
They love tasting new things, and that's what we're here for.
And what's great about it is, as you know, everyone carries their phone, so they're taking pictures. They don't have to. Before you had to write it down. Now you
Right.
just take a quick picture.
Right. People used to actually soak the labels off the bottles so they could
Oh,
remember what they were tasting. That's a while ago.
That's right. So carefully peel it. Again, you're in a restaurant peeling it.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of restaurants, I would highly recommend everyone, when you go to a restaurant, talk to your server, talk to the managers there, and explore and find a new wine. Each time you go to a restaurant, that's an opportunity to try something new. And, there's too many great wines not to try them all.
Exactly. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
everyone, thank you. So everyone, this has been the wine pairing for the Chef's Table series at the MIT Endicott House. And thank you for watching. And Lois, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You.
It was great being here. I'm Lois Leonard with Classic Wines here for the Chef's Table Foundation.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Roth. I'm with Craft Beer Cellar. I'm a certified cicerone and I'm the brand manager over at Craft Beer Cellar. Today I'm here with Jennifer Barrel from Barrel Farms. We're here in their awesome kitchen where a lot of magic happens. And today we're pairing a beer with, I have to check my notes here, it's a braised short rib over wasabi, mashed potatoes, and roasted pork vegetables and grilled asparagus. Immediately, I think rich. This is a rich dish. There's a lot of roastiness going on in there, a lot of vegetal flavors. A heavy braised meat like a short rib is going to have a lot of richness to it. So I went a little bit in an off direction here and thought instead of matching those flavors, I picked a beer that's going to kind of contrast those flavors, kind of help cut it all down, and provide a little bit of acidity, a little bit of sweetness to kind of balance out all those earthy, rich flavors. So I picked Rodenbach Grand Cru, and this is a beer from Belgium. They've been brewing for a couple of hundred years out there, and this is aged in giant wooden foeders, which is, if you think of like just a giant barrel, they actually use a lot for aging wine. It's a big wooden barrel, and it has a lot, because they brew it in a similar way to wine, it has a lot of wine characteristics to it. And they blend this one with a 3-year vintage with a 1-year vintage to kind of balance out the flavors.
So they mix the two?
Yep, they mix the two. And the beer has a little bit of a ruby color to it. It's called a Flemish red because it has little garnet highlights to it.
That looks really dark.
Yeah, it has a nice brown color to it, and really this that color really comes a lot from the wood. And if you smell it, what do you get off of that?
What type of wood? Is it any particular?
It's usually French oak.
Well, it smells almost fruity.
Yeah, it's you get some kind of like sour cherries.
Yeah.
A lot. I even get a little balsamic vinegar. And the way that they brew this beer, there's a lot. They wildly ferment it, which means that there's wild bacteria that kind of drops in and starts fermenting the beer. And one of the things that it creates is acetobacter, which is the same chemical that's in vinegar. So it has a little bit of that kind of bitterness, that acidity that you get from a nice balsamic reduction. And this kind of beer is going to go great with that braised short rib, because it's going to really cut that fatness, and the acidity is really going to add a whole different character to that dish.
Now, if you were picking out, if I knew that was my dish and I was going to pick a beer out, what you said all makes sense, but how do I know that when I'm actually looking? Is there any way I can tell when I'm looking at the bottle, picking it out? Any magic words on there that I can?
Nope. Sometimes breweries might help you out and say, pairs well with blah blah blah. But that's why we love when people come into a store like Craft Beer Cellar. We get it all the time. Someone comes in and says, "I'm making chili. What kind of beer would go with chili?" We love those kinds of questions. And so we can help steer you to, if you, most people aren't familiar with all the different kinds of beers that are out there. In fact, there's beer, I'm discovering new styles of beer every day. But we usually know our inventory, so we know what's in there. We taste all of the beer. We make sure that all the beer that we get into our store is fresh, that it's well taken care of. But somebody can come in and say, "I'm making a braised short rib. What would pair well with that?" And then we can help steer you to what kind of pairings you want to do.
This is really different. I like it.
Yeah,
You definitely get the balsamic taste.
And this is the kind of beer that when somebody comes up to me and says, "I don't like beer, I like wine. I'm a wine drinker." This is the beer that I steer them towards. It's called a sour because it has a little sourness to it. But the complexity in a beer like this, wine drinkers get. It has those kind of tannic flavors. It has the wood flavor. It has because of the similar ways that it's brewed. Wine drinkers tend to click with this kind of beer, even more than some beer drinkers do. But this beer, it's fairly low in alcohol too. But it's got that kind of acidity. It's got that fruitiness that's really going to help balance out the rich, earthy flavors of the braised short rib dish. Yeah. I'm Kelsey Roth with Craft Beer Cellar. We're a proud supporter of the Chef's Table Foundation.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the interview segment of the Chef's Table series. My name is Carol O'Connor, co-host of the Chef's Table series, and we are here at Dolan Bailey. I am here with Nancy Matheson Burns. She's the president and CEO of Dolan Bailey. Nancy, thanks for being on the show with me today.
Thank you.
Nancy, tell us about Dolan Bailey, how it started, and your role here.
Well, I think the most unique thing about Dolan Bailey and what sets it apart from all the other food distributors is its unique history and the fact that we are a food hub, the oldest food hub in the country, continuously running food hub. So what we do here is we've got a team of over 100 people, and we're purchasing meats and seafoods and different specialties and artisanal products from all over the region and around the world.
Wow.
They come here, they're cross-docked, and then we add value by portion controlling them or repackaging them to the chef's specifications. So it's really kind of a wonderful operation if you like food like we do.
Yeah, I love food, love it. So your dad started this?
No, he did not. It was started by a farmer and a homesteader in 1868. And
goodness, great history.
The farmer was from Vermont and the homesteader was from Acton, Massachusetts. And they started in Faneuil Hall. And the farmer passed this on to his nephew, who met my dad at church and passed it on to him over time.
Yep.
And then my dad passed it on to my brother and myself and my husband.
Oh, interesting. That's a great story. And you love what you do, I'm sure.
Love it. We work with so many exciting people.
Oh, I'm
and
sure. And the restaurants.
The food people and the creativity, and it's just great. And the farmers and the people who grow and harvest. It's just a fantastic job.
Yes.
Love it.
And I noticed that on top here has that little New England look to it. Very
on the cupola?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, when my dad purchased this building in 1979, he tried to replicate the cricket that's on top of Faneuil Hall, which we were in Faneuil Hall for nearly 100 years.
Right.
So he's got his little grasshopper up there,
I love it.
I don't know the exact history of the grasshopper at Faneuil Hall, but
we can always
that was
Google
from the 1700s, so it's a pretty good story.
Oh, wow. Now, tell me about, let's talk about the group that Julia Child talked about. Julie's Child started, that you are president of.
Okay, the Les Dames d'Escoffier?
Yes, let's talk about that.
Julia Child did not start it.
Oh, she did.
It was started by Carol Brock in New York, and I think it was about 30 years ago. She got the idea from a woman in Boston who was doing this as more of a social scene. Her husband was a very well-known chef.
Oh, yeah.
And Carol was the editor for Good Housekeeping. And so she took this idea back to New York City, and over time, Julia Child became involved.
Oh, okay, that's the relationship. Okay.
Yeah. So, and you and I are members of this today.
Yes, we are members of it. Pronounce it for me again.
Les Dames d'Escoffier. We're the Northeast chapter.
Yes, I'm very excited to be a member of it. I can't wait to go meet the women and the, collaborate on events and stuff like that. That's really good.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Dole and Bill, now you work with a number of chefs within beyond Boston, correct?
Yes, most of our customers have been within New England and over into New York, the Albany area.
Oh, you go out there, wow.
Yeah. And we also have a customer, a longtime family customer in Bermuda.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna ask you 3 questions.
Yes.
First one is, what is your favorite meat?
I love the ribeye.
You love the ribeye?
Yes.
And what is your favorite spice?
My favorite spice is salt, sea salt.
Oh, Joe loves sea salt. Well, he likes kosher salt, but he loves salt. No table salt. And what is your favorite type of wine?
I love red wines.
Yeah.
Mostly Merlots, but any kind of red wine will do.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nancy.
You're very welcome.
Yes, and I hope to have you on the show again. And Joe and I and the staff here at the Chef's Table Foundation want to thank you and your company for being such supporters of the MIT Endicott House event we had.
Oh my gosh, I had to tell you something funny that I discovered, Joe, about the MIT group that is connected with Dole and Bailey.
Yes.
MIT's first graduating class was in 1868, which is the year that we were founded. How cool is that?
Oh, did you tell Michael Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Yes. He's a hoot.
He is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
He's been a good friend for many years.
Oh, really? Yeah, I liked how he went out and did the raffles. I'm like, go ahead, take control.
Yeah.
He loved it. Because I think he gets antsy when he sits down too much.
Yes, he does.
So cute. All right, everyone. So this has been the interview segment of the Chef's Table series. Dole and Bailey with Nancy Matheson Burns, and we'll see you next week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the restaurant interview segment of the Chef's Table series. I am here at the beautiful MIT Endicott House, and with me is Michael Fitzgerald. He is the general manager here. So, Michael, thanks for being on the segment with me today.
My pleasure.
You look very dapper. I like your outfit. So tell us about MIT Endicott. Tell us about the history and how you came here.
Well, I've been in the hospitality business all my life. Worked in hotels, resorts, conference centers. Owned my own restaurant in New York many years ago, my wife and I.
Wow.
And another couple. That was what we call BC, before children.
Oh.
So once we had our first child, it was time to get out of the restaurant business. But I really enjoy the hospitality business. I came here 18 and a half years ago. When the opportunity came, they were looking for somebody that had hospitality background experience that could manage the facility and focus on service. And so I joined MIT at that time and been here ever since.
Wow. It's fast.
We've operated as a conference facility. One of the kind of unique things in our relationship with the town of Dedham is when this was created, nobody understood what a conference center was, what made it different than a hotel or a resort. And it was primarily designed for education. We do have lodging. We do have a very high level food service program.
Yes, as
Eddie showed you. And we provide all the meeting space, all the audio visual, primarily all of MIT alumni and MIT affiliates. Our largest internal company customer is Lincoln Labs, which is a division of MIT. That was the largest. Sloan School of Management and the School of Engineering and many of the other schools. And then a lot of alumni use the facility. One of the bonds with MIT is, it has a very, very high reverence from its alumni. And then we have a lot of medical organizations, and we do some corporate business. That's a much smaller percentage. But being who we are, we have 25 acres today. It's a full Frederick Law Olmsted design property. We still try to maintain it. What is very different is Olmsted, in all of his designs, he was very creative. He understood what they call, and I learned all this because I went to hotel school. I didn't go to botany school or landscape architecture. He understood the microclimate, meaning that when the trees fully enveloped and grew, what that environment was going to look like and what plants would bode well in that type of situation. So our grounds are quite unique. There's probably about 5 to 7 privately owned properties that are still true to the Olmsted design. We did a full landscape history and a landscape maintenance program about 10 years ago. So it is quite a unique property. It's quite a unique experience.
Center.
And as you can see, my role in life has grown well beyond being a quote-unquote hotel manager.
Yeah.
And
You're
it's
the
quite fun.
historian here. You can
Yes,
tell us
that's what
stories.
everyone
and engage
said.
people.
But it's very. I like history
I know
in
you do.
general, but I just find it very, very fascinating. People are very engaging because most of the people that come here are from this area. So when you bring up Weld, Saltonstall, Endicott, the various names, they can relate.
Right, and have a conversation.
There's Endicott College up in the North Shore. So the Endicott family is a Mayflower era family as well as the Weld. So and it's kind of funny, some of the quirky things in the family. You can imagine a 44,000 square foot home, and Priscilla Endicott, who I've come to know quite well, she's very wonderful, very charming, very down to earth, and she was a little bit of a she says a tomboy and a little bit of a ruffian. She didn't follow the rules and everything, and she was often sent to her room without supper or something like that. And she would sneak downstairs into the sitting room that they had, and the housekeeper or the cook would leave cookies underneath the chair, and she would sneak those out. She was telling me the stories, and she was also said that she was quite lazy. She had a small little puppy. And as opposed to getting up in the morning and what she was told that she had to do was walk the dog, she had a little basket and she would hang it over the railing on the second floor and drop it down on the back side of the house, let the dog do its business, jump back in the basket and put it back in the room. So those are quite
there's
funny
great stories that could be
yeah.
told here.
And also Brad, when he was young, the room that we call the music room, they had a piano in there. And Brad hated to play the piano when they had a piano teacher. And he would wait until the piano teacher was walking up the driveway and he could see that she had made it close enough, and he would start doing his practicing.
Love it.
So,
Great
they're all human just like
Exactly.
everyone else, really,
Yep.
it's funny kind of stories, so.
Love it. I'm sure you have more to tell us, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear it.
Geez, I kind of went to most of it.
I know, but that was good, though. That was good.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
there's some other things. I think
Yeah.
we're very proud of the place.
Oh, you
as I
should be. It's
said,
beautiful.
And, I'll close with this. The interesting story is that MIT has owned the property longer than either of the two original families.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite
Yeah.
a long history.
Yeah, it's quite an estate. It's absolutely beautiful.
And I want to say we're very happy of participating with your organization and your
thank
show.
you.
It's been a lot of fun. It's a little different for us.
Yes, it is different.
Different from our regular routine.
Yeah, and I'm glad I was able to work it out. I mean, we at the Chef's Table Foundation appreciate it.
Yeah.
And hopefully
Great.
we'll do it again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We'll see how Friday night comes out.
Exactly.
You
awesome.
got it.
Okay, everyone. This has been the interview segment of the Chef's Table series. I'm Carol O'Connor with General Manager Michael Fitzgerald of the MIT Endicott House. So we'll see you next week.
Start with some basil.
Okay. Again, Chef,